What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, where we cover all things private label. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'm going to be your host for the show. Today, I'm super excited to have somebody that I recently met, but was completely blown away by, Michael Goris. Michael Goris is a chief content writer for Bonka Birds and chief strategist for Alarm Grid. Did I say that right?
Actually, it's senior technical writer, but close enough.
Senior technical writer. Let's do it. Sounds even better.
Yes.
Let's do it. Well, welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Michael, we met, what was it, approximately a month ago, right?
Sounds about right. 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and you presented in the advanced Amazon meetup events that we do. So we meet 15 times a month. 2 of them are advanced level, to where the entrants have to be selling in excess of $100,000 a month or more. And I try to find people that are at an advanced level on their subject. After hearing your presentation, I was like, I'm going to describe him as Master of Copy. And we were joking about that beforehand. Can you, for the audience, since you're not an Amazon seller yourself, correct?
No, I'm not on Amazon.
All right. So none of my listeners have had the pleasure of meeting you or knowing what you specialize in. Can you share with everybody a little bit about you? How you got into writing, how we met, and how we wound up here.
Okay. So pretty much ever since I got out of college, going on 5 years now, I've always loved to write. So I decided to take that and run with it. So I saw a lot of companies, they didn't have good content online. They didn't have, their stuff together and everything. So I come into companies and I change their whole, outlook, their whole brand, their presentation, get their written content out there in the form of blogs, FAQs, product descriptions, however I can do it. I do about 4,000 to 5,000 words a day, every work day. And, I kind of view it as the more I write, then more that gets put out. And that's every chance to rank, every chance to accomplish SEO. So really, I just kind of view it as put as much out there as possible and just make sure it looks good, make sure it's consistent, make sure you have a good tone, make sure you have a good presentation, written voice, if you will, and then it gets taken care of from there. I have some great people working with me, some editors that I'm very thankful to be working with, but I just kind of take it and run with it.
That's awesome. So 4,000 to 5,000 words a day. I'm assuming, what, 5 to 7 days a week?
About 5 days a week, yeah. Monday through Friday.
What does that look like? What does 5,000 words look like? So I can put a visual to this.
Well, I don't know if you remember back in your days of college or any class really of putting words onto a Word document. You fill up several pages. If you were to copy and paste everything I did in one day, you would have many pages over. You used to hear, my project has to be no less than 1,000 words, and you'd hear people getting upset about that. Well, I'm doing 4 to 5 times that every single day, and you just kind of get used to it. You just kind of think of the phrases that you would normally use. You kind of get like into a flow of it, and a lot of the stuff is crossover. Bird toys and alarm systems, that's mainly what I'm working with now. And a lot what applies to one product, is also going to apply to another. So, I keep things consistent, but I also make sure to get the specific details for a product, out as well. So it's just a lot, though.
Oh, okay, but something you said made sense. So the majority of your writing, the 4 to 5,000 a day, words a day, that's focused primarily on 2 niches, right? The Bonka Bird brand and Alarm Grid, yes?
Well, usually I'm doing one or the other at a time. So if I'm working on Alarm Grid that day, then it'll be 4 to 5,000 for Alarm Grid. If I'm doing Bonka, usually I'll do Bonka on the weekends. But if I sit down on a full day and actually do a full day of Bonka, then yeah, 4 to 5,000 words of just bird toys. So it gets a little repetitive, but I'm used to it, and I love it.
And how long does it take you to hit that stride, if that's even a correct description, that stride with writing for a new niche? Like somebody came to you right now, and I came to you with some of my wine products, and I'm like, Michael, I'd want to hire you if I can afford you. Like, yeah, I want to hire you. Like, at what point do you hit your stride out of just curiosity to do 4,000 or 5,000 words a day?
Right. Well, it depends on how interested I am in the product. I always try to convey passion no matter what I'm doing. I've done tons of different types of products over the years. I've done headphones, I've done dental content, dentistry, pet care. And depending on how much I care about the product, how interested I am, if I'm spending a full day's working into it, I can get into it in about a week, I'd say, maybe 2 weeks. That's usually about what it takes.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. It would take me a year. So what you do is one of the things that really interested me on what you do, or at least with your presentation, is that the two main niches I know that you write on, is it safe to say one of them really covers services and the other one actually covers a brand that sells physical products on Amazon?
That sounds pretty close. Bonka is definitely, it's a product. It's not a service at all. Where you're getting bird toys, you're getting cages, you're getting pet supplies, that type of deal. And I'm just doing pure products on those. Alarm Grid is more, I'm also writing about the security systems in addition to alarm monitoring. Our alarm monitoring is our main goal. We want to get customers monitored, much like an ADT or a Vivint. But we're a DIY company. That's a whole different story though. But I'm also promoting the products that you would use with our services. So product and services there.
Okay, and taking a step for a second, because I really want to dive into the writing and the approach and the importance, but from the importance, how important do you think it is for a brand to become a brand, to become known, to be a product that people are going to search when they're looking to solve that pain point? Is copy on the web outside of Amazon? And what forms of copy are there?
Well, there's many forms it can take. You can have, something as simple as a company blog that you're updating, a few times a week, preferably daily. I'm the type, I feel that the more you put out, the better. There might be existing content you have on the internet, and it might not be that good, but there's no reason to get rid of it. Just make better content and do it often. Every piece of content you put out is another chance for you to rank, and it's another chance for someone to find you. So you want to come up with as many ways as possible. One thing we do a lot at Alarm Grid is FAQs, frequently asked questions, about products. We'll do products that are out, products that are coming out, products that we expect to be out. And we kind of just hit on all fields, and we're linking across all the time to different FAQs, to different products. Everything's interconnected there. There's a lot of accessories that go together, and you want it to all tie in with each other. So you really got to find different ways to do it. We even do landing pages. We separate products into different categories. And if you look up wireless sensors, you look up smoke detectors, you look up door and window contacts, each is going to have its own page. And that's another chance where we can put in a bunch of content.
Oh, wow. And you mentioned two types of content, if I'm saying this right, blogs and articles. I mean, I'm sorry, and FAQs.
Yes.
Would you weigh one more than the other in the importance? Like if somebody needed to start with one, or heaven forbid, somebody's attempting to actually do this on their own, which one would you put greater weight on?
Well, to that, I would say a blog is very versatile. You can do a lot with a blog. You could actually have a frequently asked question as a blog. And even if you just put one blog a day. In a blog, you can also put stuff that helps your company's image, your brand. You can put fun stuff. Just the other day, we did a post for Halloween. We had a Halloween party in the office, and we did a blog about it and had some fun photos.
What did you dress as?
I was actually a Boy Scout, which was
Nice.
pretty funny. Yeah, it was a pretty goofy time. I got second place in the contest. Some guy dressed up as a giant T-Rex, a giant inflatable T-Rex. So I lost out to him, but it was a lot of fun. So not every post has to be super serious, and I ended it with we take our monitoring seriously, but we also like to have fun, and you can do that. You can put out fun posts every now and then. You can make serious posts, but a blog is very versatile because you can do so much with it. So that's why I think if you're really just getting started out, you're not ready to take on, I actually just hit 1,500 FAQs for all time for Alarm Grid. So if you're not looking to do that right away, then a blog is a great option.
Okay. And how many FAQs do you think the average business would have for somebody that has no idea? They're trying to, see is 1,500 a lot? Is it, average?
1,500 for what we're doing, it's a lot. It definitely is.
Okay, so the forms of content, blogs, FAQs. What other types of written content do you think is important for a brand and the site?
Well, you're going to have meta descriptions accompanying every piece of content that you have. That's what Google shows if you're not familiar with a meta. It's just when you're doing a Google search, the text that's under it, and they follow very specific character counts. Also, product descriptions. If you're having any products or services, you're going to want some content to accompany that, at least 300 words, if not more. For your biggest products, really go all out. Mention every feature in as much detail as possible, and really hit keywords. If you aren't using Google Analytics or another tool to find keywords, you don't even really have to use tools. I mean, they're great. They really are. I recommend using tools. But if you don't, just having knowledge of whatever industry you're in and considering what people are searching. How will somebody find you? How would they find your business? You have to put in the keywords into your content. Force them in there. I mean, make your content read well. You want it to read well. I'll be explaining all about that. But definitely get your keywords in there, no matter what content you're doing, really.
Okay. And what about things like articles, press releases, that sort of thing?
Yes, absolutely. If you are releasing a new product, something that's exciting, some new feature, then yeah, do a whole press release about it. You can put a link to it on your blog. The blog is kind of like your main source whenever a new product's coming out, whenever a new service is being offered. Have it show up in your blog. That's what's going to interest people. People are interested in a blog. You get hundreds to thousands of subscribers to a blog if it's interesting, if it's written well. That's what we have at Alarm Grid, and everything should come back there. Anything important is going to end up there anyway. So yes.
And something you said there about blogs, it sounds like you're describing it as the foundational part of your copy, of your site, of your SEO strategy, everything. Is that a fair assumption?
I think it's a great place to start. I mean, of course, not everything can end up on your blog, because if you have hundreds of thousands of products, then you're not going to have an individual blog post for each and every one. You might have ones for your most important products or certain product like categories. For instance, you might talk about like a certain sub niche of your products, but your blog is just a great way to get somebody engaged. It's a great way, it can be laid back, it can be serious depending on the subject matter. But often when I go to a new site or find a new company, or I'm looking at even a restaurant or something, or some business in town, I might go look at their blog, and if I see that their blog hasn't been updated in a year or 2 years, I'm a bit scared. I'm like, well, are they still in business? Are they still around? So I like to see an active blog. It shows that, hey, this company exists. First of all, they're still doing what they're doing. And it gets a good feel for the company. You can see if they're passionate. You can see if they're, updating regularly, if they're intrigued. It's a great place to start for any company.
Yeah, I never really thought of that. I mean, I've looked at companies and I've said, oh, when's the last post they did on social media? And if they haven't, then I'm like, they're not really into this. Are they around? But I'm wondering if you looking at the blog in that regard, I've never heard of it, is because of your passion as a writer, that you see that. But it makes a ton of sense.
Yes. I mean, like the fact that I'm doing it on a daily basis, sometimes even multiple times per day, if there's some urgent news coming out. One of our monitoring platforms was having an issue, so I was giving updates on the blog. It's just a great place for anyone if there's an issue, if you have a service and there's some outage, then you might put up something right there. I remember a few months ago when the earthquake hit in Alaska, and there was that tsunami warning. There was an outage in that area, for monitoring, and we actually, did like a blog post, a warning message right then and there. Breaking news: you may experience outages if you're in Alaska, of all things. Yeah.
Okay. Towards the beginning of this, you mentioned that you were in the camp of a daily blog.
Yes.
Okay. So someone with, gifted in writing like you are, a daily blog is fantastic. Somebody who is not gifted in writing like you are, or they do not have the budget to hire someone like that. What's the minimal you can get away with that you're not just treading water? Is that something?
No, it's fair. It's fair. No, I think you should at least try to do once a week. Really, that seems like a good amount to me. I mean, like there's got to be something happening in your industry or some types of products. You don't have to be an amazing writer. It helps. It certainly helps. But as long as you can write grammatically correct and make it look good. Keep it simple, by the way. You want everyone to be your customer, not just people who can understand complex writing. So really dumb it down, make it understandable to anyone. And really, I'd say once a week. If you can just make one day a week your blog day, something to put out, then I think that's an excellent start. That's a lot better than the companies that aren't updating their blog for a year on end. That's not good. I mean, really, you should do as much as you can, but I would say a week is a good place to start.
Okay, then this is going to tie really well into my next point. So I, myself and my company, we do copy for Amazon listings for clients of ours, and just freelancing also, like creating Amazon SEO rich product detail pages. Okay, but the people that I'm usually talking to, they struggle to come up with 4 or 5 unique bullet points, even for a single product detail page in a product. What we're saying here is that they should write a blog once a week. So 52 times a year. Where can somebody go for inspiration to know how to come up with 52 different topics for a leash. Or, I mean, I believe I get it, but I want to hear what your opinion is on this. And for any of the listeners that are struggling the same way, like, where would you draw the inspiration from for those topics and content?
I understand. Well, I mean, I've struggled to come up with topics at times too. There's plenty of days I'm sitting there, at alarm grid thinking of, oh, I got to come up with a blog for tomorrow. And really, I feel like I've done everything under the sun. But you talk about, a different brand. You talk about a different feature. You talk about, how different ways you can use the product. You talked about pet leashes, for instance. You might talk about pet leashes for dogs, for cats, for other animals of sorts, if that's how diverse your product is. So you really have to have a passion for whatever industry you're in. You really have to surround yourself in it and just be enthusiastic about it. So if you can't come up with something for your product every day, then, talk about something that's coming, something like a new product that's coming out, or talk about what your company's doing. Maybe give an inside look at your distribution process or your manufacturing, whatever you have to work with. If you have an office, talk about events that are going on there. If there's going to be a change in service or something, if you're closing for a holiday, do something about that and wish everyone well. It comes off as personable. Really, yeah.
And I mean, this makes a ton of sense to me, but this sounds like a lot of planning. Do you, and you touched on tools earlier, is there a particular planning tool you might use to plan this out? Or is it like that for you now, that you just come to the office and you're like, you know what, I got to come up with a topic tomorrow. Let me just think about it over lunch.
Well, what works for me, and this is when I get into a really good flow. Actually, at Alarm Grid right now, we have our blogs already written for the next week ahead. So I've planned them out and got them going, and I like to think of those as slow news day posts, because you never know if one of our manufacturers will be coming out with a new product, or if there's going to be some breaking news in the security industry. Then we're going to cover that ASAP. We're going to do that right away. But assuming nothing happens, I'm covered for the next week, which is how I got out early today, actually. We have posts lined up, just stuff that we can post whenever. And another good subject, actually, I do a lot of top lists, like top 10, top 5 lists, top 10 pet leashes, top 5 pet leashes, top 10 pet leashes for dogs, do that type of thing. We actually were doing one, the 100 most burglarized cities per capita. That's what we're doing.
Which one is it?
What is it?
Top 1 or something in the top 5. It's got to be Miami.
It's something in Louisiana, actually.
What?
Yeah, Louisiana just kind of streaked to the top 10, or not the entire top 10, but most of it. But it was a Louisiana city. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we included cities 10,000 and up. So we got some smaller towns in there. So I don't really remember them all off the top of my head, but
you touched on something that I wouldn't have thought of. As a matter of fact, I'd be a little nervous of, but you mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, that a competitor might come out with a product. And did I understand that right? That you would want to write a blog on that product?
You could do a blog on that. One thing we actually did today, just today, there's another security company, a monitoring company. They have their own proprietary system. We can't take it over, but we actually did a landing page for that product and kind of listed its features and everything, explaining that we can't take it over, and list some systems that you could get instead that would offer similar features. So don't be afraid to cover your competition's product. I mean, they're going to be hopefully, well, I mean, if they're smart, they're putting out as much content as you are. They're doing everything you are, so they're going to cover it anyway. So why not attract their traffic? I mean, put that product out there, put guides for it, but then say, hey, here's what you can use instead. Here's what this does that this doesn't. So don't be afraid to cover that. Yeah.
So you would go so far as actually buying your competitor's product to be able to, I don't know, stress test it, talk about it intelligently?
Absolutely. I mean, that, assuming your products aren't costing hundreds of thousands of dollars or something. I mean, if you're doing jet planes or something, then, but if you're doing that, then you probably have a good budget anyway. But
and there's no fear that you're driving just traffic for them.
No, it's coming to your site. So, and you're going to write it in a way that's tasteful. You can't lie about their product or anything. You have to always be honest. But you're going to tie it into, what you're doing and, explain why yours is the superior option, hopefully. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with buying a competitor's product. I mean, that's such a cheap cost. You just put in the expense of buying a simple product, and then you can test it and show images of it, and, you know, take your own images, find out what's wrong with it, find out what can be better about it, and really, you know, yeah, absolutely. And then put some content about it. There's going to be content about it anyway, so you may as well put it on your site.
You just definitely would not backlink to that.
Oh, no,
Okay.
don't backlink to your competitors. Never link to your competitors. Link across your site only. But yeah, certainly put their product, you know, don't sell it, of course. You know, you're going to mark it as discontinued or something along those lines. And
What? Oh, okay. So you would write the article about the competitor's product. Now this is some black hat stuff here. I love it. So you would write the article about your competitor's product. You wouldn't badmouth it.
No, no.
You would just mark it as discontinued, as if, you know, it's not available, but we have this.
The terminology might be different. You might say this, you know, you might have a page where like you would go to buy the products and make it look like it's, you know, for sale on your site, but then, you know, put this product is not available at this time or something along those lines, or this product is not sold by X company. So you'd have to be very upfront about it, you know, never act like you sold it or anything, but if you had it on the same product page, the same type of landing page as what you would have for one of your products that you were selling, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and then just, you know, link to proper pages that people should be going on to buy the correct products. Then,
I like that.
And yeah, absolutely. You can go for that. Sure.
And what would you do if trying to take it to Amazon? If you don't know this is fine. But let's say the product you're launching and you're going to blog every day, you're going to go all out on this, and your competitor's product, your competitor launches a product, but that product already has significantly more reviews than your product. Is there a fear then that, would you stay away then, or would you still make reference?
That's a good question. You know, I probably want to establish a little bit of a brand first. You know, there's nothing wrong with using that product's name in your product description, and then, you know, talking about how yours is superior. You know, you're hitting a good keyword probably by doing that. If they're heavily searched, heavily written about, and, you know, everyone knows them, then, you know, that's probably what someone's going to be looking for before they go and look for yours, especially if you're new to the game. So there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, you're going to want the emphasis on your own brand. Really, the goal should be to build organic traffic for your brand, for your company, for your products. And you can focus on other companies a little bit, other products a little bit, but, you know, mostly at AlarmGrid, I mean, or Bonka, we're focusing on our own products. We're promoting ourselves. You know, we're really building our name out there. That's why Bonka is so successful when it comes to bird toys. I mean, they're competing with the likes of Petco and Pet Supermarket. So really, those are like some big names. But Bonka bird toys, you know, it's kind of, it sounds more obscure, but if you go into the bird toy game, you'll see that they're like #1 across the board on yeah, it's surprising. So really, before you really want to start going to other products, other companies, I mean, that's fine, but really you got to build your own stuff up first. That's really the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%. I work with, I don't know if you know this, but I work with Bonka Birds doing their Amazon pay-per-click advertising, and trying to discover where all their traffic sources are coming from and everything versus what's going on Amazon to their PPC. It looks like there's a tsunami of people coming off Amazon directly to them and buying their product. And I've discovered all this stuff you've done for them, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I've overhauled a few of their Amazon descriptions. I've spent some time doing that. So hopefully it's attracting traffic. If it's
It definitely is.
I don't hear the inside numbers. I just kind of, you know, see the end result, I guess. But no, that's good to hear.
Yeah. No, they're definitely very happy, and it's working. It's gangbusters. It's working amazing.
Good.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit, and if I missed something obvious there with the types of copy that can be written and all that there, but I wanted to be respectful of your time, but also touch on SEO, and maybe the anatomy of a blog, if that makes sense. I'd like to touch on those two topics.
Well, it's different between writers. I would say that. Really, the biggest thing with SEO, it's just making sure you're using the keywords. And you might not always know what the keywords are. There's plenty of tools that you can use to help you figure them out. Google Analytics, Search Console, stuff like that. That helps a bunch. Otherwise, you know, if you're an insider in your respective industry, then, you know, you should know what are the most important keywords, what words you would associate with both the products or services you're selling. And really, you've just got to fit them in there, and you got to fit in as many different ways. For Bonka, you know, we're doing conure toys, parrot toys. We're doing, African gray toys. So lots of different bird types, and small bird toys, large bird toys, feeding bird toys. So really think of everything that someone's going to search your product or service for, and make sure you fit those keywords into all your content. Just find ways to do it, and find ways that people are going to search for it. You might do best bird toys under $20, best wireless security system, easiest security system, whatever someone, who has no idea about your products is going to go into Google. What are they going to type in? What are they looking for? So just think about it that way. Think about it logically, and fit those keywords into any blog, into any description, any FAQ. Find ways to put them in there. And as far as like a structure of a blog, you talked about like the
anatomy.
The anatomy, yes. It really depends. For something easy like a fun company post, like what we did for Halloween, it might just be something, a few paragraphs with some fun photos along with it. If it's something more intricate, we're talking about something big, a new system coming out, a new product that's just launched, we're going to want to get into every detail, every feature. We might break it down, each paragraph might be a different feature, and hitting on all the important points. So really, it depends. You're going to have big posts, you're going to have small posts, but the more you get out there, it's another chance. That's really how I look at it.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, so breaking like top to bottom on a blog, though, is there, because we've talked about, metadata, meta descriptions, we've talked about all that. So top to bottom, can you touch on those different parts of the blog?
Yeah, a little bit. A meta description is not necessarily going to appear on the blog. You can, actually, that's what we do at Bonka. We have that representing the first paragraph. But, a meta description, we do a long form for Alarm Bird and Bonka Bird Toys. It's 280 to 300 characters. And so that's just something that Google's going to show. And you're going to, want to give a call to action at the end of it. Check out the Lyric security system, or learn more about this bird toy. So you're going to have like a call to action in there. And then we do like an intro paragraph. If you have a catchphrase, that's a great time to use it, especially if it's kind of a more relaxed blog. So at Alarm Grid, I start most posts with "Hi DIYers," which is kind of become our slogan. We feature that in videos as well, which is also great for content, video descriptions. But we'll have an intro paragraph. Again, 280 to 300 characters, somewhere in that range, right there. Usually an image to accompany it. And then you get into the meat of the post, and it's just, it's informative. It reads well. If you want to go back and look at it and you want to have it read, friendly to someone who's reading it, have it make sense. Keep things simple. You don't want to confuse anybody, but just make sure it reads well. And again, that's kind of an art form. That's the art form of writing, but fit in keywords and have everything flow logically. Go down through all your points, depending on how big of a blog it is. I've written blogs in excess of 3,000 words before, but that's something more intricate, something more complex, and that's something that would take me all day. But most posts aren't
all day. One day. Oh wow, a whole day. It took me a year.
Well, I'll get a break for lunch too, but no. So you go through all your points, making sure to hitting your keywords, and then, wrap it up with a nice conclusion. If you can't get to everything in that one post, maybe say, we're going to have a part 2 coming, a follow-up post, get people excited about it. Say, there's so much more about this, but we don't have time to talk about it right now. We'll get to it next time, but, just keep engagement, convey that enthusiasm, convey that passion about your industry. You're there, you're doing it because you love this stuff, hopefully. So really convey that energy. That's really what you got to do throughout, and just hit on your points, hit on your keywords, and yeah, that's about it.
And once you've got the copy portion of it, before, during, or after, do you think, or are you even involved in this, accompanying it with imagery, videos, audio? Do you think about that ahead of time? Like, oh, this is going to work really good if I support it with.
So it's kind of more as I'm writing it. I want to have ideally an image with every piece of content that I write. And usually that's as simple as finding a product on our website, copying, pasting the image, and bringing it over. If it's something new, hopefully we have the product and I can, go and take a personal picture of it. You don't want to steal any images. Always make sure you're getting them from a proper source or taking them yourself. That's also great. And you can, if you have to doctor up a diagram, you can do so with paint. It's very simple. I'll often be going through it and be like, hey, a diagram could really help here. So I'll stop writing for a bit and I'll go and, open up Microsoft Paint and throw together a diagram really quick. And, I'll put that right in there. Video can take a little bit longer to do because I'm not leading the video team. We have a video team at AlarmGrid, and Banca has recently set up a video team as well, and they're doing great. But it's not something that I direct. So I usually I put out content and then videos get made to accompany my content. And actually at Banca, it's the reverse. They make videos and then I make content around the videos. AlarmGrid, I make the FAQs and they make the videos. So I'm sorry if that sounded confusing, but
no, that makes sense. Like, it's basically whatever flow works better for that business and however they're set up.
Right. And if you can get to a streamlined portion where you can actually make quick videos alongside while doing content, then absolutely make videos yourself. I've seen other companies do this. That they won't actually feature anyone's face on the video. They'll just have the product on the desk and they'll have a voiceover, someone working with the product and showing off its features, showing off what it does. And they can put that up in a matter of an hour or two. And that can easily go into any piece of content you're writing. If you have the resources to do it. And you want your videos to look nice, but you don't need professional equipment. I mean, it helps, sure. That's great. If you have a video producer, you have like a whole team working on your videos, that's excellent. But if it's just you and you know your product and you can like set up like a little small camera with a tripod over the product and just your hands working on it as you talk about it, that's better than nothing. I mean, that's really great right there. That's more than a lot of companies will put up. And like I said, putting up a video on YouTube, that's another chance for you to do a description. That's something you can use to put in keywords. It all ties in together. So whenever you have a chance, absolutely. And you can do that alongside your content as well. If you're writing a blog and it's becoming a pretty intricate post, then go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is one of my last questions here, and it ties into what you just said, and that is the article's written, it's optimized, and later on, and you're adding at least one image.
Yes.
And later on, somebody is going to add to it, where they're going to add video or audio to what you've already written and published, doing air quotes here for those that are watching. Is there any specific steps you need to take to kind of like not ruin or break the momentum when you go in and add something, or does that not come into play?
I don't think it comes into play too much because usually when I'm writing, I'm not referencing a video. I'm writing something that can always stand on its own. And I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, like the images help. If there's a complex system wiring task that's going on, I might say refer to this diagram. I might
like a step-by-step how-to.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, any how-to thing should include steps. That's something I've learned through the years. You definitely want to put like a step-by-step process and keep the steps understandable. A few words per step for the introduction to the step, I mean, and then get into the meat of it. But when I write a piece of content and then it's going to have an a video added later, the video should be able to stand on its own. And whatever I wrote should be able to stand on its own, because there's going to be that gap between a video being made and my content being published online. So the video is just going to enhance or help. Someone might not want to read what's going on. They might not care to read what I've written. They might want to just see a video, and that's fine. So we offer it in both ways. So whenever you have a piece of content, hopefully you can have a video accompanying it. And just kind of write the video as if no one had read the FAQ, no one had read about the product. Just kind of go in there and say, hey, this is our product. This is what we're showing off today. Here's what it can do. And you can talk about the same things that you mentioned in the FAQ or the blog or product description, whatever you had, but just make a video that it can certainly stand on its own. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's another way to get it out there. A lot of people are going to prefer that. I prefer things written down. I want to see like a step-by-step, something that I can read. That's just how I learn. That's just how I take it in. But a lot of people are going to want to see, they're going to want to see a video. They're going to want to see, someone moving around the product. They're going to want to see someone doing various functions with it. They're going to want to actually see it in person, see how it connects with so-and-so, see how it works with such and such. And yeah, that's another great way to put out your information. It really is.
Yeah, and what you said there on the video, that's actually, converting really well using Amazon Live. I don't know if you've messed with that, but like Amazon live streaming and stuff, and somebody actually using the product and interacting with it, it's ridiculous effect on conversions. It's amazing. So adding that video and that audio is not going to, snap any momentum or negatively affect.
Oh, no. So often the video will go at the bottom of a post or at the very top of a post. It won't interfere with anything I've written. It won't go smack dab in the middle. it would go at the top or the bottom. So it's just kind of like something there that can stand on its own. Now, if you really had something complex and you wanted to show a video, walking someone through the process, maybe in conjunction with a diagram, then, you might want to plan around it, introduce the video, say, this video might help you with this step or something along those lines. You probably have it read a little bit better than what I just said, but yeah, you could put it in the middle, but what we find works is you just put it at the bottom of a post, kind of there, as an add-on later. It's not going to affect your meta. It's not going to affect your body. It's not going to affect your SEO. You have all that in there in place already. And then you can add the video as just, something to complement it. And it's not going to, Google's not going to be thrown off. Amazon's not going to be thrown off. You're just adding to it. You're keeping your structure, what got people there in the first place to find the product. That's all it's going to still be there. And that's going to be in place. So you don't need to mess with that. Just add it to complement it.
Okay, perfect answer. Oh, I lied. I have one more question. It's like a two-part question. So first, do you model, or do you think it's a good practice to kind of model, again, air quotes, your competitor's blog? So you're starting from scratch. Your competitor has a robust blog. Should you model it? And if they have content or you have content that's out of date, how do you deal with that?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It is a two-parter. But okay. If you have a competitor that has a pretty good blog, then there's nothing wrong with modeling your content after it. Try to keep things original. It's going to look silly if you're copying them, like doing the same products that they're doing at the same time. Then you're going to call you a copycat, and then no one wants to be that. So, but their structure and their format, if it works well and you can replicate it, then that's fine. But I think it's a little bit better to find what works for you. Everyone's different as a writer, and some people aren't going to be writers. But if you are a writer, then stick to what works with you. Find your own flow so that it sounds natural, so that it looks good. Make people want to read it. So really go in there and try to post as often as you can. I prefer once a day. If you can't do that, once a week. But find what works for your company, and just find your own style. That's what really works. You can try doing what another person's doing for a little bit, but really in due time, if you're doing this, if you're keeping up with this on the regular, you should find your own style, your own format. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that again?
Dealing with, I guess it totally is a second part, dealing with maybe content you've posted or that you've noticed your competitor posted that's now obsolete, outdated, an old version, something like that.
Right. So if you're kind of just reformatting your content, to fit SEO best practices, or you have some existing content that maybe wasn't written that well, or something went out of date, there's nothing wrong with keeping that content online. Now, if there's inaccurate information, you're going to want to update it. Even as something as simple as keeping the existing content and then putting a note at the bottom, say, update, this is no longer accurate. Here's an FAQ that better describes the process or something. So you don't want to have inaccurate information out there. That's misleading. That will confuse people. That's a no-no. But existing content, if it's not in the best format, if it's not maybe grammatically correct, it wasn't written that well, there's nothing wrong with keeping it up. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're going to want to update it to be better. You're going to want to make your way towards that old content and either re-release it or update it. And I know it might be impossible to do all of that at once. So, but you do want to make your way through and make it more presentable, especially if it's a big product. If it's something that's important, one of your best sellers, then yes, make sure it fits SEO best practices. Make sure it's good. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, if you have a page that's driving a lot of traffic, it's getting a lot of views on your site, changing the content that will reformat things, that will mess up the SEO there. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just kind of keep it if it's working well. It always looks good to have something read well, to be presented well. But if it's driving traffic and it's doing well, then you don't necessarily have to change it. Just keep that in mind moving forward, that your stuff should be presentable. It should be written well. Just something to keep in mind though. If something's driving a lot of traffic, then yeah, keep it as is a lot of the time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's like possible there. Okay. How can people get a hold of you or anything about, I don't know, talking to you about any like writing jobs they have, if you even have availabilities? What would be the best way for someone to reach you?
I can throw out my email right here.
Okay.
Michael W. Goris, MichaelWGoris @gmail.com. Michael W. Goris @gmail.com. So simple enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I check that daily. So if someone needed to get a hold of me, that's an easy way. Other than that, my schedule is pretty tight right now, but I'm always open to inquiries. So if someone wants to contact me, go for it.
Absolutely. Okay. And I'll put the email in the show notes for anybody that's interested in that. Michael, I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for jumping on. You're a wealth of information. I really appreciate it. I leave after hearing you talk. I feel like I just drank out of a fire hose. It's crazy.
Carlos, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. No, great time. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Liked what you heard and want to stay connected? Join our Facebook group or find me anywhere on social media @Wizards of Amazon or text the word Amazon to 69922.